A second stimulus check deal is near, but the news outlets try to spin it more than a bottle. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Friday mornings, LA Late. You're up, I'm up. The toast is popping up, the coffee is simmering, and the chicken and waffles is on the side with a dish of hot sauce. But boy, it is a morning, and we are ready to get through it together. Thank you for joining me every morning at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. Big news about the second stimulus package overnight. And I gotta tell you, I've never ever said this, but if you read the news reports overnight, it depended on which news outlet you were reading the reports from, because they literally had the same quotes but different headlines. One would paint the picture very positive, and the other one would paint the picture like it's the end of Star Wars, where Darth Vader's about to come in with his sword and say it's the end of everything. Well, let me get right to the details and cut through all that junk. There is a deal on the second stimulus package with several provisions, but several provisions are derailing final agreement. These are the details, and first let me get to the procedural aspects. Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi together 2 days ago confirmed that there will be a second stimulus package deal by this Friday. They said they will get it done no matter what. That was their representation then. They are two of the four people in the room negotiating the deal. Mitch McConnell's not in the room. The way it works is they're coming to an agreement for purposes of both Republicans and Democrats, and then once they get that agreement, Mitch McConnell, on behalf of the Senate, where he leads as a Republican, has represented he will get the Republicans to approve whatever those four people in the room are agreeing to. The Senate would take about 2 days to come to a vote and agreement about it, and then the president would sign it into the bill. So at that time, when Steve and Nancy made that representation, we were all looking at Friday as the deadline for them to get an agreement. The Senate to reconvene to get this done by manner of vote within about 2 days thereafter, and then the president decided the bill, which could literally be hours later. So we're talking about Wednesday, I guess. We also had great representation, really great news over 2 weeks ago that said Nancy Pelosi would keep the House in session to get it ratified by the House. And then this week, Mitch McConnell said he would keep the Senate in session and not recess. More about what that word means in a second, in the coming days. Where this becomes sort of strange is the overnight remark from Mitch McConnell and Mark Meadows, Chief of Staff to Donald Trump, about what's happening later today. Usually I don't lead with this, but this is really the biggest story now. What's going to happen later today, LA? Well, Mitch McConnell had earlier this week said that, yes, the Senate goes on recess, which means they leave, they're gone, the end of today, and that they would be going back to their home states. I call it vacation, you call it vacation. They call it, in some regards, campaigning for their lives because they're up for re-election, whether they're Republican or Democrat. That was Mitch's representation, that he would keep them in session and not recess after Friday. But overnight, he came out and said something totally different, very disconcerting. He said, no, I'll let them all go home. Yeah. He said, I'll let them all go home, and I won't end it for formalities as a recess yet, which means not much of nothing. But he said, I won't call them back for a vote. I will not call them back for a vote unless the Democrats agree to what I want. We're back to this game again. Yes, you're rolling your teeth, you're about to choke on the bacon, and you're like, darn it, come on, LA Late, what's with those people? Mark Meadows made it even worse. Okay, I gotta laugh. It's only 4 minutes of the video. It's Friday morning. We all gotta laugh. You remember Teresa Greenice in New Jersey Housewives when she flipped the table because she couldn't get her way with with Carolyn Manzo? Yeah, you do remember that. Well, Mark Meadows had a moment like that yesterday, which he denies, but Nancy Pelosi says it happened. He apparently was so upset with the process, like we aren't as well, that he banged and kicked and hit the table in the negotiation room, and she had to jump for her life. It's just, boy, someone is auditioning for Real Housewives of Potomac in that room. So there we go. What are the agreed upon parts and what are the not agreed upon parts? The agreed upon parts are the check. I mean, they've made an agreement upon the check. Why can't they send me my darn check, LALATE? They have an agreement on the check. They have an agreement that's $1,200. It is $1,200. It's not $5,000 or all these crazy other stories that are out there. It's $1,200. $1,200 for every individual. If you're husband and wife or married couple, it is $2,400. One check sent to you, double check. Very simple math. If your husband, if you're couple, married couple, and you have 3 kids, you get up to a 5-person check. That's $1,200 times 5. So that's really great news. As you know, I've been reporting for weeks. SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, veterans benefits, get a check. I was the one that first told you it has not changed. I am still here. We're not going anywhere. You're getting your check. It's just that someone's kicking furniture in a room. Then the issue of the dependents is really not 100% etched in stone. We don't know for certain, so I'm not going to ever say we know for certain that there's a highly big likelihood that all dependents will get $1,200 for the check, not $500 for the check. But we do know, and this is really great news, that all dependents will get a check. That's different than the first stimulus package. So if you were an adult dependent 17 years of age or older, you were not eligible for first stimulus check, you're getting the second stimulus check. Really, really great news. Additionally, a lot of people have asked me, hey, I have a really young child. I have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old. Get that non-filer on file. Get that non-filer on file so the IRS knows where you are. If you're on benefits and the IRS has never heard of your child because you don't file tax returns, get a non-filer on file for the child, because the IRS needs to know where that child is to get the stimulus check out to the child. It would come to you unless the child's a dependent on someone else's tax return, which is a little bit too complicated for this video. More about that later today. Hazard pay is not gone. Hazard pay is still there. It's still negotiating. Nancy Pelosi came out vehemently in favor of hazard pay on broadcast news mornings, Thursday morning, so that's really great news. Great news there. FPUC, boy, this is where it depends on who you're listening to the news from. CNN this morning said their lead title was negotiations on the brink of collapse. It sounded like the Titanic is crashing into is crashing into the CNN headquarters. Then if you went to CNBC's website, the title was Negotiated Settlement is Very Close, but Some Key Factors Loom, which is basically what I'm reporting. Hence, you see who I'm tracking. I'm not tracking CNN. Their reporting has been very skewed, and it is not. And if you go to the quotes in their article, everything is horrible, 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 horrible. And if you go to CNBC, it's all bounded in financials, which is what I'm bounded in. I'm grounded in, not bounded in. Grounded in financials. What are the financials? What are the key negotiating points? What are they doing? I'm going more to the hard facts. I'm not going to the spin. So here is the title that CNBC used. McConnell and Pelosi expect a coronavirus relief deal, but differences remain. That was their title yesterday. It's still their title today. Ironically, they haven't updated the story, unlike me that updates it regularly. But that's their title. And it says that both sides expect a deal. And then it leads with a quote from Mitch McConnell. Says, I expect a deal. I can't tell you when, but there will be a deal. And Nancy Pelosi says, will we find a solution? We will. And will we have an agreement? That's her asking the question. She says, we will. Really great news. So that's CNBC reporting the news. If you turn on CNN, it says, everyone's about to die tomorrow, and we're all going to choke on our lunch, which is just, you can see why people get sometimes headaches from CNN. It said the negotiations have struggled to craft out a bill, but certain key issues continue to be debated. They have to decide how to extend federal unemployment insurance, which I've discussed. Let me get to FPUC right now. There's an agreement upon $600 a week. The problem is that they can't agree upon how many weeks. I surely realize I'm 9 minutes into this video. I'm talking very fast. I apologize. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the last 5 hours, so I'm trying to get it in there, but I'm going to slow it down right now. Next, the issue of moratorium on evictions. There's an agreement on that. That's really great news. They have said we have an agreement on eviction moratoriums. They don't have an agreement on the grant money for rent, which is different than eviction moratoriums. They also have an agreement upon the mortgage forbearance, which is also great news. You won't lose your property to mortgages. Other issues that are still sort of unclear are child support for stimulus check. A lot of people are asking, and I'm going to update again. The Democrats propose your check will not be taken for child support. The Republicans propose it will. The Republicans have a lot of other stuff in there that doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. So this is the stuff that looks like it's failing or could be holding up the negotiations. And I can't say some of these things with a straight face. The Republicans want a tax break so you can deduct your fancy lunch. The Republicans want a $3 billion building for the federal building. The Republicans want a deduction so you can write off your airline, your travel expenses, whether it's gas or, taking a limo. The Republicans want the inability to sue your employer for COVID-19 issues unless they intentionally cause them, which means coughing in your face. Yeah, it's like, why are we doing this, folks? I mean, just get to the stuff that America needs. We need money, a stimulus check, we need eviction moratoriums, we need food stamps, which they have progress on. They have reached an agreement on food stamps. They need to ensure that they're not thrown out of the homes, that they have food, that they have the ability to pay the electric, and then they have some employment benefits. I mean, what is so complicated about this? Someone had a really great question about that. They're like, LALATE, this is not so complicated. What's going on here? I really don't know. It's not rocket science. There's nothing in here that is so hideously complex that this takes weeks to negotiate over. I really don't know. But that was that. Then you go to the CNN report, which I'm really not even going to go to. I'm like, screw them. It's like, who wrote this junk? We're very far apart. It's very unfortunate. I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset. she's not talking. Everything has an N apostrophe T. Don't, note, won't, can't. It's just, someone needs a cocktail in that building before they write their articles. But the best part of the article was where, and I got to tell you, it came from the CNN article where it said Mark Meadows kicked the furniture. I needed to laugh, whether he did or didn't. I just found it very funny. Friday had some big numbers out. They're not numbers that I really rest my hat on, but I need to tell them to you. These are new jobs added. These aren't unemployment numbers. These are new jobs added. The U.S. economy added 1.8 million jobs in July, down from June. It's a step positive for the economy. It's still down for the 12.9 jobs that the economy had before the pandemic. The 30-year mortgage rate hit an 8-year record low. It's at 2.88%, which is just like, hey, if you got a loan from Jovita, why are you at 3.75 if the 30-year fix is 2.88? Another thing that's very disconcerting, I've been detailing as well on this channel, and I know you're concerned about it as well, is that when we're talking about eviction moratoriums, people of color, particularly Black and Latinos, now make up about 80% of those facing evictions this week. Last month, 26% of Black renters and 25% of Latino renters were unable to pay rent compared to 13% of white renters. Finally, it's not particularly finally yet, but this quite hilarious bit. CNBC had a news report this morning that said there's one city that added jobs this last month, and their employment, not unemployment numbers, are way up before the pandemic compared to last year. Guess where the city's located? In Kentucky. So here we go. We start Monday morning, and what are we going to expect and what are we going to see? Well, we're going to get another 2 hours of negotiations, and you know why I'm laughing is because a couple of viewers, James and Jason and a few others, had really a great remark yesterday, which was like, they met and negotiated for 2 full hours, and they're exhausted and they're tired because they met for 2 hours. How about meeting for 8 hours? How about meeting for 10 hours? How about meeting for a full day? How about meeting in the morning and at night? It was a great remark. That's why I love you folks. It was a great remark. I mean, Nancy, Chuck, who really don't have anything else to do but get this bill done, and Mark Meadows, who really has nothing else to do as well, Chief of Staff to the President, and Steve Mnuchin, who, can't do anything until this bill is done. They're four people, and they're meeting 2 hours a day, which means, the first 30 minutes is choosing chicken or fish, and the last 30 minutes is saying thank you and goodbye. So they're meeting for about an hour and a half every single day, and that is the scope of how much time they're putting in for you? Yeah. I'm like, that's not how you get negotiations done. Moreover, what's very, very disconcerting, and here's my other positive message, is if you've never negotiated before, you never negotiate by insulting the other side. Do you think negotiations go well that way? No. You never go into a negotiating room and insult the other side face to face. I don't like you because of this, and this is my offer. It doesn't work. You don't negotiate it. Well, that's actually what every broadcast news report was about last night. How this four people are now outside these rooms in the hallways on broadcast news talking about what happened that day in their 2-hour meeting. And all they do is trash talk each other. You see why there's not progress. Because Nancy is calling Mark words, Mark is calling Nancy words, Chuck is calling Steve words, everyone's calling someone else names, and you're sitting here saying, LA, where's my damn money? It's going to be a nail biter. If you have any more nails left, they're going to be gone by the end of the day. I want to fully disclose that to you, so you might want to get a nail file and just sort of file them down so there's nothing else to bite. I'm here. Maybe get some celery and some pretzel sticks or something to chew on, because those nails are going to be gone. We are just on down to the last few minutes. And what I want to add is the following, as I started earlier, is what's going to happen by the end of Friday. End of today, if we don't have those four people announce a deal, which is not a law, but a deal, an agreement, what happens then? I really don't know, because as of yesterday, I did know. Mitch said everyone's staying in town. No one's going home. Nancy said everyone's staying in town. No one's going home. Nancy, Chuck, and Steve said they will negotiate until they get this done. Now Mark Meadows is saying, no, we're not going to negotiate until we get it done. If we don't get it done by Friday, the president's going to step in, and he can. More about that in a second. And now Mitch is saying, okay, if we don't get it done by this afternoon on Friday, everyone can go home. I'll call you if I feel I need you. Americans' public needs you. Everyone in America is starving and needs you now. So I just don't know what's going on. It's just, it is bad. It's like a bad reunion taping. Is someone walking out of the room that doesn't want to tape the reunion, and they're walking out the door and they're like, see ya, Andy, I'm not coming back. Come back and sit down and get the damn thing done. Thank you. Finally, what should you expect this afternoon? You will expect another 2-hour meeting of these people. You'll expect some more trash talking. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with you. So what I want you to ask you to do, please, is go to the front of this channel. There's a subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button, because this story is moving very quickly. There's afternoons LA Late starting at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. But I might have something before then. And I'm certainly going to send out something in the community post of the site where you get an alert. It could be 2 sentences. We have a deal. We have this. We have that. I want you to know what's going on. So go to the front of the site and hit the subscribe button. And then there's a little bell next to it called Alert, ALERT. Hit that as well. So you'll get you'll get an alert from me personally as soon as something happens. And I'll also keep you up to date on what's happening this afternoon. Afternoons LA at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, starting with the check, then hazard pay, FPUC, and UR, and finally rent assistance, finally LA Late evenings starting at 6:45 Pacific Standard Time. I went very fast. I know it. I hope you like the shirt. Have a great Friday morning, and see you at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. Stay positive, stay motivated, and stay with LA for more.